What if the internet declared you dead before your 18th birthday, only for you to come back louder, richer, and more controversial than ever? That's exactly the story of Lil Tay, the viral child star who once flexed stacks of cash bigger than her face. After vanishing in a storm of family drama, rumors, and a shocking death hoax, she's now reemerged with an even wilder twist. Open-heart surgery, a multi-million-dollar OnlyFans debut, and a fiery promise to take her story back. But how did she survive the chaos? And what does her comeback really mean? In August 2023, millions of people opened Instagram to a chilling announcement. Lil Tay and her brother were gone. The post sounded official, almost like an obituary, and within minutes tributes flooded social media. Influencers shared crying emojis. Headlines declared her sudden passing, and fans began mourning a girl who had been a viral sensation just a few years earlier. But then came the twist. Just one day later, Lil Tay resurfaced, very much alive. She says she woke up to a phone full of missed calls, her mom overwhelmed with messages, and the internet spiraling over news that wasn't even true. According to Tay, the death post was part of a malicious hack, one she insists she had no part in. Fingers were quickly pointed. Some accused her estranged father, others blamed her brother. Both denied responsibility. The hoax didn't just shake the internet, it shattered trust. Who was telling the truth? Why would someone stage something so dark? And most importantly, who stood to gain from it? For Tay, the chaos couldn't have come at a worse time. She was preparing to drop her comeback single, but instead, the conversation turned into a mystery about her survival. But the death hoax was only one layer of her story. To understand why it hits so hard, you have to look at what led her to disappear in the first place. Long before the death hoax, Lil Tay had already vanished from the spotlight once before. At the height of her fame in 2018, when she was still just a kid, her online persona suddenly went silent. No new videos, no flashy rants, just silence. For fans, it felt like she'd disappeared overnight. But behind the scenes, her life had spiraled into a bitter custody battle between her parents. Then came the disturbing posts. Her account lit up again with alarming claims that her father had been abusive, locking her in closets, leaving marks on her arms, and controlling her career. The posts accused his wife of being involved too. Photos surfaced of a young Tay with red marks on her skin. Later, a GoFundMe petition pushed those same allegations, claiming she needed protection. But her father, Christopher Hope, fought back hard. He denied everything, insisting it was all a smear campaign orchestrated by her brother Jason. According to him, Jason plotted the abuse stories to destroy his reputation. Jason, on the other hand, claimed his father was an absentee parent who refused to support Tay financially until she got famous. The family feud played out publicly, with both sides pointing fingers and fans left wondering what was real and what was performance. Amid the chaos, Tay's career screeched to a halt. She was pulled off social media, sent back to Vancouver, and forced into school again. For years, her voice disappeared, a stark contrast to the loud, fearless kid who once called herself the youngest flexer of the century. And yet, even while hidden from the spotlight, her story refused to fade. Rumors kept swirling. Was she safe? Was she silenced? And most importantly, would she ever come back? That question wouldn't be answered until a far more terrifying chapter. The one where her life hung in the balance. Not online, but on the operating table. Just when people thought Lil Tay's story couldn't get any more surreal, life threw her a curveball that had nothing to do with Instagram or family drama. In September 2024, she disappeared again. This time not because of hacked posts or custody battles, but because she was in the ICU fighting for her life. Doctors had discovered a tumor in her heart, something she says she barely had time to process before being rushed into surgery. The procedure was brutal. Her heart had to be stopped for more than an hour while surgeons worked to remove it. 70 minutes, she later revealed, describing the moment like it belonged in someone else's nightmare. For a girl known for bragging about cars and cash, suddenly survival itself became the only flex that mattered. Recovery was slow and painful. She couldn't dance, couldn't perform, and was forced to face a reality she never imagined at her age. But in classic Lil Tay fashion, she refused to let the experience break her. She compared the ordeal to a Taylor Swift lyric about hospitals being the worst sleep you'll ever have, laughing at the dark irony. And against the odds, she bounced back quickly, crediting her youth and determination. What should have been the end of her story instead became a new beginning. Because once she survived the operating table, Lil Tay decided she wasn't just going to return. She was going to reinvent herself completely. And that reinvention would begin with a headline nobody expected. When Lil Tay turned 18 in July 2025, she didn't just celebrate with cake or a party. She launched herself into a brand new chapter and straight onto one of the most controversial platforms in the world. Her debut on OnlyFans wasn't quiet. It was explosive. Tay claims she pulled in over $1 million within the first 3 hours and raked in nearly $20 million during her first week. For someone who built her name on flaunting the bag, the numbers sounded outrageous, maybe even unbelievable. But that's the thing about Lil Tay. Even if people doubt her, they can't look away. Without money, what are you going to do? She asked, brushing off the critics. In her eyes, cash isn't just currency, it's proof of power. Almost overnight, she turned her feed into a spectacle of wealth and independence. Living solo in an Airbnb, shopping for mansions, and debating whether her next Bugatti should be pink or orange, Tay made sure the world knew she wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. And with every flex, she doubled down on her message. She's back, she's rich, and she isn't slowing down. But for all the dollar signs and designer dreams, there's another side to her comeback that most people don't see. One that reveals what really drives her beyond the money. Behind the glam, the money, and the online feuds, Lil Tay is more than just a viral persona. She's a person with surprising depth and values that many wouldn't expect. Despite the provocative image she projects, Tay has made it clear she's celibate and has never had a boyfriend. Honestly, I'm just focused on money, the bag, and building myself, she says. For her, relationships aren't the priority. Independence and self-empowerment are. Her creativity, though, has always been part of her identity. From the age of 4, Tay trained in piano, guitar, and ballet, channeling her energy into music and movement. She even pursued Harvard briefly for business and computer engineering, but dropped out, inspired by classmates like Mark Zuckerberg. I realized I could make millions doing what I love. So why waste time? She explains. Her family may be complicated, but her mother has always been a steady support, taking on both parental roles when necessary and nurturing Tay's talents. She's also fiercely opinionated about empowerment, pointing to role models like Sabrina Carpenter and Sydney Sweeney. In her eyes, women should own their choices without shame. We're paving the way to do whatever the hell we want with our bodies and careers, she says. Tay's sense of self extends to fashion and culture too. She adores Y2K aesthetics, K-pop idols like Lisa and Jungkook, and even relates to Harry Potter, seeing parallels in fame, scrutiny, and survival. For all her bravado, Lil Tay's identity is a balance. Part entertainer, part entrepreneur, part fiercely independent young woman navigating a world that's always watching and judging every move she makes. Even as she reinvents herself, Lil Tay hasn't shied away from confrontation. Old feuds have followed her into adulthood, and she's ready to settle scores on her own terms. Tay has called out former rivals like Bad Baby, challenging her to a boxing match and claiming she could beat her in every way. She's also squared off against other viral stars and critics, refusing to let anyone downplay her accomplishments or question her talent. But it's not just about the drama. Tay's ambitions are bigger than feuds. She's back in music with tracks like Stuck in July, exploring friendships rather than romance, proving her artistic evolution goes deeper than headlines. She's also thinking long-term, luxury investments, creative ventures, and building an image that blends fame, independence, and wealth. Every move feels strategic, a way to reclaim control over her narrative. What drives her most is proving that surviving scandal, health crises, and family drama doesn't just make you stronger. It can launch you to heights few dare to reach. Tay isn't merely back. She's aiming to dominate, setting her sights on both entertainment and entrepreneurship while keeping her signature edge. Her message is clear. Critics can talk, haters can doubt, but Lil Tay is steering the ship now, and she isn't slowing down. From viral child star to the center of a shocking death hoax, from family drama and abuse allegations to open-heart surgery, Lil Tay's life has been anything but ordinary. Yet through every twist, she's emerged stronger, louder, and more determined than ever. Her OnlyFans debut, music comeback, luxury flexes, and bold public challenges are all part of a carefully crafted reinvention, a declaration that she controls her story now. For Lil Tay, survival isn't just about making it through tragedy. It's about taking ownership of her narrative, embracing independence, and showing the world that resilience and ambition can turn even the darkest moments into a platform for power. She's no longer the child who screamed at the camera. She's a young woman with a vision, unapologetic in her pursuits and unafraid of judgment. And maybe that's the real headline. Lil Tay isn't just back. She's here to define the next chapter of her life on her own terms. In a world that tried to write her story for her, she's finally the author. The question now is simple. How far will she go, and who will be able to stop her?